Hi, everyone. I wanted to share with you this talk I gave at the Vigil for Democracy in Corvallis, Oregon, yesterday, January 21st. My vision blurred with tears of sorrow while everyone laments. How did we get here? This isn't what we meant. As grief turns its rabid head to anguish, shock, and dismay, I sit here silent in this body, wanting to scream. My friends, it has always been this way. As I watched the nation rise in anger, I pondered this experiment of democracy, an experiment that was built on the backs of slaves and the genocide of the 75 million indigenous people who were on this land when settlers came. And I think to myself, this is okay, this death of our democracy. For out of its collapse, there will be an opportunity to rise, to remake our knowing, to heal the wounds of 500 years of anguish, to envision a government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people, not just certain people, all of the people. This is a moment of realization and remembering. We must remember we cannot know peace without war. We cannot know love without grief. We cannot know joy without sorrow. We cannot know compassion without indifference. That is the humanness that we are being shoved into. The horrid reminder that when we live in the both and, that nothing is certain, and that either or binary thinking is how people justify the killing and disappearing of our neighbors and friends, the decimation of brown and black bodies, the destruction of women's souls, and the invisibilization of our LGBTQ plus family. Our democracy has lulled us into a stupor. Many people thought if the violence isn't directed at me, someone else will surely take care of it. And so we have arrived at the year 2026, a moment in time that is at once terrifying and glorious. A year marked by 365 days of outrage and protest, arising among the people of this nation, where we are challenged to realize that all we had been promised was an illusion. For anything built on the ownership of humans, the genocide of people is not freedom, it is death. And here is my invitation to you in your lament. Rise up and become rooted in your holy fury. As you strive for justice and peace among all people, remember that so many of us have been here for our entire lifetime, living in bodies deemed unsafe by the establishment and a danger to the status quo. Rise up and become anchored in your righteous rage. Refuse to fall prey to the directives of a system in power that has convinced you of your safety. Decolonize your mind. Know that you do not hold all the answers. Talk to people who do not look like you, think like you, or act like you. So many people are asking difficult questions right now. I encourage you to ask the difficult questions right now. How many people do you know have been lulled into a stupor by the promises of proximal power? How many of you have shoved your anger away because it could have been seen as uncomfortable or inconvenient? We cannot know joy without sorrow. We cannot know love without grief. We cannot know community without disconnection. We cannot build the democracy we want without first acknowledging that the one we have is broken. We must elect leaders who have new, fresh perspectives about what governance could look like. We must ask people what they need instead of assuming their needs are just like ours. We must hold space for deep understanding that anguish is often followed by delight. We must remain curious about our days, releasing our hold on the mythology of power and control. And we must look to the Mother Earth each day for the simple reminders of our aliveness. We must look to her to remember that we are intricately tethered to her as humans being. For it is our interconnected weaving with nature that guides us towards victory. Simplicity leads to love. Love leads to connection. Connection leads to transformation. Transformation leads to peace. Peace leads to love. And love leads to grace. My beloved community, when you show up in your fully present self, you are seen in beautiful non-judgment. As we hold this vigil for our democracy, remember that grief is such a blessed reminder that shifting happens when we are uncomfortable. It doesn't happen through control. When we recognize that we are an extension of each other, we can help build a beautiful future, and we are able to help others more deeply. Whether your mission seems big or small, the culmination of our work together can change the world for the better. May we have the strength to not fear what we cannot control, to mother the wounded, to father the grieving, to hold the sacred, and connect the broken. My friends, we are woven and connected. We are all searching for identity. Together, we will rise up and build something new from the rubble. In your anger, cultivate tenderness for yourself and others. Release control and stop forcing yourself to push up against the sharp edges. They say that no one wants to see how laws and sausages are made, and for some that may be true. And yet this messy democracy is inviting us into its undoing, so that in its upheaval, we may be remade.